Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Lori Lightfoot, and I want to be your next mayor. For those of you who are hearing me for the first time, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and where I come from, because it very much informs who I am and the vision that I have for change in this city. I've lived in Chicago for 32 years. In fact, I began my life here in Hyde Park when I was fortunate enough to get a full scholarship to the University of Chicago Law School. But I grew up in a small town about 60 miles southeast of Cleveland. I am the fourth of my parents' youngest children, and both of my parents were born in the 1920s in the segregated South. My father in Arkansas and my mother in Alabama. They both left poverty and racial violence to go north to Ohio as teenagers with their respective families. And it is there that they met and they married. Early on in my parents' marriage, my father became gravely ill. One of his jobs, and some of you are old enough to remember, was stoking a coal furnace at the local YMCA. Coming in and out of that heat and cold, he became gravely ill, first with pneumonia and then a much more serious illness. The doctors had given him up for dead, and he, in fact, was in a coma for almost a year. Luckily for me and our family, he did live. But he came out of that experience with total hearing loss. So imagine, if you will, my parents, my father, a black man with a high school degree in the 1950s, and now with a profound disability. What that meant for our family is that we struggled my entire growing up years. My father worked 2 and 3 jobs, and my mother always also worked a series of low-wage jobs. We struggled with rent, with mortgages, with utilities, car payments. And so when I think about where we are in this city, and I've been very successful in my life because of the sacrifices of my parents, because of their hard work and determination to make a better life for me and my siblings, I was able to come to this great city and aspire for a life that they never could have imagined. But I look across our city with the greatness that it has, that opportunity to have a life that's different and better is illusory for way too many of our neighborhoods, and particularly way too many of our children. When we have a city where 25% unemployment is routine in neighborhoods across the South and the West Side, where we have so many African American children living in poverty, and neighborhood after neighborhood where the vast majority of people have to depend upon government assistance to be able to survive every day, I know that we can and we must do better. Listening to the comments of people here tonight, the consistent theme among all of the comments was hear us, see us, and be fair. That is the city that we must have. But for far too long, that has not been the reality of life in black and brown neighborhoods across this city. In this most important election, the first time that we really have had real choice since 1986, when Harold Washington ran for the second time, we must vote our values. We must break from the past that frankly has not served people in this city except for a small, clouded few. We must break from the broken political machine that relies upon our silence and complicity while it serves a certain segment and leaves the rest of us on the outside looking in. This is the moment that we have in our city, the ability to vote for real change and chart a completely different course for us and for our children. We had a lot of community forums leading up to the February 26th election. And one moment really stands out for me, and it was at Whitney Young, and there was a high school senior that asked this question. I'm going away to college, and in 4 years I will graduate. Tell me why I should come back to this city in 4 years.
Wow.
That is the question. We have to create opportunity and hope for our young people to come back to our city, to stay here and thrive and imagine a life for themselves that is different and better than where they are today. We can do that if we come together with a collective sense of purpose to make sure that zip code doesn't define anyone's destiny. must come together and vote our consciousness, vote for our future, vote for our destiny, so that we can answer the question of that young man and say, come back to Chicago. This is your home. This is an opportunity for you to thrive and create a life for yourself and your family and your neighborhood that you can be proud of, because we've given you opportunity. That is what is at stake in this election. So I hope that I can win your vote. But wherever you are, make sure that you show up and you vote. Elections do matter, and this one more than ever. Thank you very much for your time.